Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Jason here, of course, forexsignals.com, streaming live with you at 8 p.m. Central Time on Wednesday evening. Currently the 17th of May. What a day, what a day, what a day we've had, huh? Markets have been moving. I'm assuming all of you know it. Mainly on political unrest with Trump, FBI director, possible collusion with Russia, independent probes, stuff like that. You get the idea. We can get more into that in a little bit. But let's take a look here. 2 a.m. here. Holy moly, you're still up doing it. I like it. Hey, Supernuba. Art. I agree, that Bill Huppert podcast, really good. I think that was a good one. Howdy Bring Stability, Erebus, nice to see you. So I'm going to get right down to business right away. We'll keep this nice and short, like I always say, and then it ends up being half hour, 40 minutes, hour long. What can I say? When you love the markets, you love the markets. Let me pull this chart up for you for just a moment. Man. All right. First of all, we'll pull up silver. Got to at least cover that. Those of you who took the trade did really well. Profits were at $16.94. Right there. Hit the profits nicely. We got right up to the 38.2 of this whole move down. Price bounced back down. I had since pulled my stops up to 16.78. So I did update my profit targets in the trade idea to 17.14, 17.15. So if you wanted to extend that, feel free. My stops are currently at 1677, 1678 right now. Pulled them up just a couple hours ago. They were down here a little deeper, nicely tucked away. And now silver's starting to push up again. And I think we all know why. This has been a great trade though, man. My other two accounts are just crazy. The three silver trades I'm in here are up $9,700. Same ones from yesterday. Let's see, gold to the moon, Alice, as well. Fix my shirt here, oh my goodness. To the moon, Alice, with gold. Where are we heading next with gold? Tough to tell. Not a lot of resistance coming up on gold until we get right up to around 1268 and change. So we got a ways to go. I still think gold's going to go higher. An Asian session yesterday, I made it really clear what I was doing, and that is sell the yen pairs, buy the dollar pairs, buy silver, buy gold. Dollar index, been talking about it all week, it's going to crash. Been crashing. 73 hours here, of course, going into the end of last week. Stock markets really took a hit today, didn't they? U.S. stock market, Dow, down 372 points. That's basically 1.78 or 1.8%. The NASDAQ was even down 158 points. That's 2.57% decrease. And the S&P down 43.64 or 1.82%. So overall, U.S. stock market's down somewhere between 1.8 and 2.57% on the day on the back of that Trump news. I'll put a little link in the chat here. I think you've all seen this, or at least you know. Stream shouldn't be dark. Yeah, I think it was just you. How's it going, Sungate Peter? Hope it's nice out in Australia. Possible new hacking threat. You got it. Yeah, you can either refresh the stream or you can put, I think it's Control F5. I think that's the same thing. So what do we have going on? What are we going to watch right now? Obviously, we have this news coming out of the Australian currency. In 25 minutes, we have high impact news coming out. Let's get my charts back centered here a little bit. Get down to business. Euro Aussie still going to the moon. I think a few of you got in on this play, maybe got stopped out, bought up here. I'm not in it. But I mean, this thing is still pushing up. 5-minute chart just for excitement purposes. You know, up 20 pips. 1-minute chart. Throbbing to the north still. Look at that thing go in real time. So the inflation expectations, very low impact news release out of Australia just came out, 4.0%. But the employment change and unemployment rate, where is it going to be? I really don't know. My guess. Now, if you want to talk about Forex trading and guessing things and just randomly taking a choice, I think the Australian currency is going to get a bump after this news. Now, this has nothing to do with any technical or fundamental stuff. It's just what I'm looking at. I think they pin these numbers down pretty low on the employment change. I think we're going to do better than expected. And I think the Australian currency is going to catch a little bit. It might pull the Euro Aussie down a little bit. I mean, Euro Aussie's got a way to go till the next area. You know, another 40 pips or so, next area of resistance. So, if you're a total gambler, which I don't recommend doing, trading the news, here's my experience with it. I'm just going to level with you. I don't trade the news anymore. I get out of trades before the news almost all the time. I don't like to hold things over the weekend unless things are relatively muted or I got a big profit, something like that. But for people who trade the news, people like me who used to trade the news years back, just found that it's hard to do because it's a coin flip. I mean, you might be able to get a feeling, then you got slippage, you got gaps, you got broker problems. I think the Australian news is probably the best one to trade if you're going to trade the news. I don't recommend it. I don't think it's consistently profitable, but I think the Australian news is the easiest one to trade. You just get less of that whip, less of that, run in before. So I think this stream will be going through. We'll see what happens. Picking which way the news is going to come out is really just I'm just giving you my insight on it. I could be totally wrong. I'm not putting a trade idea on it, a trade idea on it for sure. But I'm feeling like we're going to see Euro Aussie pull down, the Aussie dollar pull up, and the Aussie New Zealand, which has been really under pressure, possibly pull up just a little bit. That's what I'm thinking with the news. But don't trade it. Don't take the trade based on that. I'm just giving you my gut feel. All right. So after that, we have news at 3:30 in the morning out of Great Britain, big one, retail sales. And then we have the unemployment claims tomorrow morning at 7:30. For those of you that don't know, I'll be coming on tomorrow for the U.S. session stream. I have a lot of stuff planned tomorrow evening, so I won't be doing the Asian session. I'll be doing the U.S. coming in at 9 o'clock. It's in the schedule up there. If you click on upcoming streams, you'll be able to see it in your local time. I'm out of pound yen. Let me show you the trade I had and where I'm at with it. So this is the trade from the trade idea that I had posted earlier this week. And I was gone today for probably a good 6.5, 7 hours. So I wasn't able to get in on this big move down, but I did scalp on my other account. I scalped around a little bit just from my cell phone, just doing smaller orders. I had like a 10 pip trade and a 14 pip trade. That worked out pretty well. But this is the trade from the trade idea. We sold it here at 146.60 and had the profits up ahead of the 23.6, and it worked out really well. I hope that some of you got in on that one. The cool thing about this was the trade only went down about 15, 20 pips, and then it rose back up another 70 or so pips. So if you rode it all the way down and you continued to stay in this trade all the way down to the bottom, hats off to you. But for most people, in hindsight, when we were in this area, now this is a 15-minute chart, we're thinking, hey, we really had no reason to exit. That's one of the things you look at with your trades. My stops were up here. I put this little marker up here on the pound yen. 147.30 is where my stops were. I did pull stops down. You can see the red line over here. I pulled stops down to 145.99, 145.98. I posted it in the trade idea as well. We locked in a good 60 pips. And kept the target the same. Now, could this blip up here have been a reason to get out, though? I mean, we're talking a trough to peak of 95 pips or more, 96 pips. But nice trade. So this trade closed out at a total of 137 pips, plus or minus your spread. We'll call it a 135 pip trade. And it worked really well. So The good news is I've had really good trades this week, still in silver. The bad news is, I guess, I haven't had a lot of trades. I mean, call it what you will. I posted the 2 trade ideas, silver and pound yen, and those worked out really, really well. I mean, 130 some pip trades, pretty decent. Could have been more. Coulda, woulda, shoulda all over yourself, right? Could have been 200 and 300 pips all the way down to the bottom. But I don't get too concerned with that. You might remember I've been saying this ever since I came on Forex Signals. If I can get a third of the move down, I'm thrilled. Take the safe stuff. I mean, one of the psychological keys is you don't want to beat up on yourself for missing a trade or getting out too early or staying in too long. Just trade your plan. We moved right down to the 38.2 fib retracement. I think just a few pips, maybe 3 or 4 pips above. And again, if you want to take a closer look at the pound yen, this is the fib from the long-term bottom that we put in on April 17th, all the way up to the top, 1,250 pips. We pierced through the 23.6, which was my target, rose up, got right down to the 38.2. Now where do we go from here? I mean, you got to be selling the thing, waiting for a better entry. Let's flip over to the dollar yen for just a moment. I know Steady Capture, if you're following Steady Capture is selling the dollar yen. I don't know anything about Steady Capture's strategies and techniques other than what I learned with him on the podcast interview. And I know that he's selling right in this bottom area right now, pretty heavy, or at least fairly heavy, it seems, on some accounts. So we'll see how that all works out. Dollar yen 4 hour. You know, maybe we're going to get down and fill up this gap down here. 109.50 down to 109.10 or so. If you take a look at the daily, if you glance back, now this is going back all the way till June of last year. This is, yesterday I was talking about the euro and this increasing angle and separation. We were talking about Gann and calculus and things and how these angles of trend lines were increasing. A little bit more just sort of the art of technical trading. If you look at this candle that we did today, we put in on the dollar yen, 230 pips, give or take a few, and you look back in hindsight, that's a really big candle. That's one of the biggest candles we put in for a while. And then we have, of course, the Trump candle way down here. That was 400 and some. But aside from the Trump candle, I mean, that's a pretty big move for the dollar yen. I mean, we see them, but usually after a candle like that, we expect some kind of retracement. Now, this one is clearly based on fundamentals, right? The flight to safety with the yen currency pairs. If we take a look at the momentum meter, I think this is it. Yeah, there we go. The momentum meter. One of the nice things about the momentum meter is when it just lines up clear like this. I see Andrew's commentary here. Aussie under pressure, yen strong, selling pound yen at 145.55. He should have hit profit on that or even a couple trades today. Euro strong all the way across. Swiss is strong, yen strong. Aussie New Zealand CAD trashed. We see the dollar picking up just a little bit here, but remember, Asian session is if you bundle all the sessions into groups. You got the London session, the US session, the Asian or Tokyo session, and then you can throw the little ones in there as well that are between. But the 3 big sessions, Asian has the lowest liquidity and volume. We usually see some momentum out of the Australian currency because that's the time when all their markets are going, and of course in the Japanese yen during this Tokyo or Asian session. But generally speaking, when I come on this Asian session, we see all these lines sort of coming together because the volume and liquidity is going out of the market a little, and we're not seeing that at all right now. The Japanese yen is still going straight up to the moon here, and the weakest currency is the Aussie pushing down, and it's pushing down even more. Now, of course, we have that big news in about 15 minutes. USD is catching a little bit, but still smashed down since Trump. I'm interested to look at the 4 hour here. And again, I apologize. I know it's sometimes hard to see this on YouTube, but the yen is just to the moon. The weakest 2 currencies are the Aussie and the dollar. hanging up near the top are the euro and the Swiss. So you just want to trade those against each other, the weak versus the strong. Just got to find the right entries. So let's flick back. I'm not watching the chat as much as I used to, sorry. I got a lot rolling on silver here, so I'm keeping a close eye on silver. It's looking okay. Coming back around now as the dollar index is gaining some momentum. What I'm really interested in sorry about that, I got my dogs barking again. What I'm really interested in is if the silver XAG USD is going to pass the 38.2 fib or not of the whole move all the way down. 38.2 fib is sitting right about 1705. My profit targets are at 1714. And just between you and I and the fence post, my profit targets on my other account where I posted it yesterday. I got a whole bunch of I think I have like 14 or 15 orders long silver. My profit levels are up around 19 something. So I don't mind letting this sit for a while until it gives me a reason to get out. We'll see. The swap or carryover interest for holding silver with LMFX broker, the broker that I'm using for my other account, it's pretty small. I think it's $1 or $2 a day per lot. It's not bad. My 5 lot one, I think, is $11 a day. I've been holding it about 3 days, about $33 swap. Not bad. When you're up, thousands of bucks, it's not bad. But if it does start to settle and sort of locks in around 17, might be time to get out and then try to re-enter later if we do get a pullback. So overall, that's where I'm at with silver. Curious to interview Aussie Swiss just by appearance. Tim says EAU USD. I'm not sure what you mean by EAU USD. I'm not sure if you mean Euro, Aussie, or gold. Yep, I'm on a GJ now. I don't trade the Swiss pairs. I'm really sorry, Ray. I don't trade Swiss. Apologize. Looks like Forex running the news. Big money with silver, slow but easy. That's right, Tim. I wouldn't say it's easy all the time, but it's been easy for us here. Dollar index. We can't skip the dollar index on this stream. Take a look at the unfolding of the dollar index. I mean, just dropping all the way from, sitting pretty strong in the mid 99s all the way down to 97. Where are we going to go next? I put a couple lines on the chart here just to give you a better idea. Next technical level. I mean, you could call it somewhere in this area, but the next technical level of support's around 96.90, but the next strong one is the Trump candle. That was put in on November 9th, 95.90. And then we have the swing lows. They're right over here behind my video, my webcam, 94.05. Now, before a lot of you might be thinking, or you could be thinking, man, the dollar's just trashed. This thing is so bad. What's going on? But if you zoom out a little bit and look at the weekly, this is where we're at. So we're not doing too bad here. I mean, it was sitting around 80 in mid-2014, and then we rose all the way up 2015, in this area. So, yeah, we came off a lot, obviously. But there's still a lot of room to move down on the DXY. We'll see what happens. I mean, you got to sort of watch the news about Trump. People talking impeachment and all that. I try not to get into politics any more than I have to. And obviously you have to get into some politics and fundamentals if you want to be a good, profitable, long-term trader. You can be good in technical trading, but you have to at least be wary and know what's going on. Like, obviously the news with Trump is a big part of what's moving the markets here the last couple of days. So is it all priced in now? I don't know. I mean, if he gets impeached, it's going to go nuts. But the interview, I'm sorry, the what's the word I'm looking for? The detective work they're going to do on the case. I mean, it could take weeks, months, years. So what's it mean to your trading right now? That's the question. Right now, I'm not real comfortable selling dollar yen at these levels. I like to see a little bit more of a pullback before I would get in. I don't know. Private message here. Question: what to be a specific format? So shoot you a screenshot. Let me just see here. Maybe I can answer you live. Oh yeah, I know why. I don't know if you're listening or not, ATXFX, but on the momentum meter, all you have to do is zoom in on the candlesticks, make them as big as they go. Hit plus, 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 and that will take your the lines and widen them way out. That's all you have to do. So give me a thumbs up in the chat or in private message if you got that. Just blow up your candlesticks as wide as they go because they're way jammed up at the top. Just hit plus, plus, plus until it can't anymore. Earbus, thanks a lot for chiming in on Aussie Swiss. Good to sell. Strong versus weak. Breaking, yes. Low. Hopefully gets impeached. Crazy. That's right. Hence your name, Bring Stability. I hope he keeps stops scrambling the market with his antics. That's right. I think that he would be much better off if he got off Twitter and just did his job that he's doing. That's what I think. I think people would be respecting him more. You know, pretty obvious there. EuroCAD, we talked about getting long on this. Put in a nice rounded bottom all the way up. Yeah, ETXF. Okay, cool. You got it. You got it. Perfect. And again, if you're just chiming in, just coming in, I'm going to be streaming live tomorrow morning for US session, and then we'll go from there. Cool, you got it. Nice. What's on my watch list for next week? Gosh, I don't know. I mean, it's only Wednesday night. I really don't have anything on my watch list for next week. I mean, basically, I think if you're in it, if you trade like I do, you know, with a similar mentality on the hourly charts or the 15-minute for entries, maybe 4 hours here and there, I'm just thinking to myself, man, it's still Wednesday evening here, at least in the U.S. Tomorrow's a big day. We got big news coming out of Great Britain. We got big news out of the U.S. unemployment claims. And we got one of my favorite news releases out of the U.S. It's on Forex Factory. They put it as a moderate or medium impact news event, but it's the Philly Fed Manufacturing Index. I feel like the Philly Fed catches more news, more jawboning, if you will, than the unemployment claims even can. Don't forget, we have at noon tomorrow Draghi speaking. And then we have a whole slew of big news out of the Canadian dollar coming in Friday morning at 7:30. CPI, retail sales, all that kind of good stuff. So besides the U.S. stock market getting blasted 1.8 to 2.57% today to the downside, and besides the dollar getting just hammered, mainly off of, you know, drama with Trump, political unrest, if you will, we have the Aussie news coming out in 5 minutes. The pound dollar is a pair that I do trade sometime, but it's just really messy right now. I mean, really messy. I like it higher, especially with the dollar under pressure, but you know, I just not quite convinced either way. We keep getting pushed back under these levels on the top. Call it 1.3. It's just a little shy. 1.2988, 1.2990. Definitely a bullish technical pattern here. We have a rising wedge here. Weekly. A lot of resistance to get through on the way up. I still think the pound's going to rise. but I'm not convinced enough to put the trade in on my own. Our euro dollar. I mean, gosh, this thing's got to be due for a pullback soon, right? But is it really? Is anything really due for a pullback? Still never filled up the gap. We talked about that a lot. I still think the euro dollar is going to be, I'm biased to the upside on the euro dollar and the pound dollar, but I just am not ready to buy it here. And you remember this trade I put in with a 0.5 lot, took 100 pips, talked about buying again. And remember yesterday, it's on the tip of my tongue here now, but when we got to 1.11000, I basically gave you my thoughts on it. If you're going to buy it, buy it. But if you get 10, 15, 20 pips profit, move your stops down because this thing could have whipped down. And sure enough, it did. You know, you get that impulsive push up. Let me show you a little bit zoomed in version here. You get that impulsive break up, come down, retest, break, push down, right down to the same level, and then finally find its way. So what this tells me on this zone here on the euro dollar, right in here, is that even though the euro dollar moved up, it wasn't quite as momentous as some people have thought. In other words, big banks, hedge funds, traders, you know, that kind of stuff, the big money, definitely liked it up, right? Just classic. Broke through, came down, retested support, made new highs, but then it got shot down a ways and had to work its way. Now, this is a 15-minute chart, so this is a few hours here. Then it broke up, retested, broke up, came back, retested, and then they said, hey, we're off to the races, and then it made higher highs, higher highs, higher highs. So my take on it, and if you're an experienced trader, you might just flat out disagree with me, but my take on it is that the euro dollar is due for a retracement. I think it's going to pull back a ways. I can't really tell you with any accuracy if it's going to pull back 30 pips all the way back down to this gray box or not. If it does, depending on what's happening in the market, might not be the worst time to try to catch a buy in the euro dollar. Somewhere around 111.25. We have to pull back about 30 some pips first. This is where I see it. And then up to the moon again. And we could get our fibs out. I like using fibs a lot, but we'll leave it at that for now. What's going to happen with this Aussie news? Is my random gamble and opinion going to prove out to be right or not? I think the Australian news is going to outperform the estimations, but that's just a random guess. I'm not going to trade it. I don't recommend that you trade it either. Take your money to the casino if you want to do that. It's just a coin flip. That's all I have. Just a gut feeling coin flip, and I don't trade based on coin flips anymore. Euro pound, one of the pairs that has paid me off a lot this year. Let me get rid of all these other orders here on this. Obviously, with the French elections being completed, Euro caught a big bid. The gap basically filled almost perfectly. We had the big gap up, of course, came down, and then off to the moon. 220 some pips on the euro pound. Big stuff. Where's it going to go from here? I really don't know, and I don't think the market knows either. Very hesitant here. 86. I just don't have a bias either way. We're going to see how this Aussie news comes out in a minute. Don't take a trade on that opinion, by the way. It's just fun to try to figure it out, even though we know better than to gamble like that. Let's take a look at it. Here we go. Aussie news. We're going to see the Aussie New Zealand pop up too. Let's see. So did I get the coin flip right or was I wrong? Bear in mind my delay. Yep, better than expected. 37.4 thousand. I think and unemployment was a lot better too. So there we go, folks. Euro Aussie. Boom. 1 minute chart. And that's why I say, I'm not trying to encourage you to trade Aussie news, but it's just smooth. You don't get the big, you trade pound news, the shit sort of goes crazy. Aussie news, pretty smooth. Let's take a look at the minute chart here. We didn't have any giant wicks. Just boom. Straight up Aussie strength. Really good news out of Australia. I'd be buying the Aussie buck right now. Selling the Euro Aussie. Let's see how the Aussie New Zealand fared. Look at that. Not even a little wick or anything. Just nice and smooth. I love Aussie news. 25 pips up. If only it worked that well every time, we'd all be billionaires. So I'm definitely not right on this, all the time, but I just wanted to show you that, if you're a gambler, you can take some risk from time to time. Trading before news is about as foolish as it gets. But when you watch the news releases for, every month that this stuff comes out for decades, you at least get some feeling if the stuff is overpriced or underpriced when they do the expectations. I don't know if anything was revised or not. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, the previous was even revised higher to 60,000. They had it at 50 some, I think, 50 some, and now it's back up. So they revised it even better. I don't know why they expected only 4,500. Anyway, I'm going to take a look at the chat here. Let's see. Sorry, I haven't been watching the chat much. We got a good sell on UJ, Bring Stability, Airbus. Good evening, Mario. Seattle Drama. We'll take a look at UJ. Were you on when we talked about it earlier, about steady capture? Thoughts on Aussie dollar on last time? Better than expected, massive. Better than a slot machine, Tim. That's right. Yeah, I think the Aussie is going to crank now. I think Aussie dollar is going up, Euro Aussie is going down, Aussie New Zealand's going up. Got it. Boom. Cheeky profit. Nice. Biggest drop on unemployment is 2016. Aussie gonna pop. Heck yeah, it's gonna pop. If you already talked about UJ, I'll catch the vid. It was a bit late tonight. No problem. Cool. So there you go. What I feel good about is if you took, my thoughts on the news and you got the trade, good for you. But I told you all about 4 times, I think, don't do it. Don't do it. It's a gamble. So I don't expect you to have done it. But maybe you're in. The dollar yen, I think we're due for a little bit of a bounce up. We talked about steady capture being short in this area pretty aggressively. I think there's 3 orders short with a lot of their accounts if you follow steady capture. I think the dollar yen is definitely overextended, but we did come back and touch. Take a look at these levels here on the 4-hour chart. We came right up to this right here. Right there. The top of this gap. Now, your broker might have a little bit different price depending on what time it opens and the spreads. But this price action was sitting right at... Oop, I got the wrong side here. Sitting right at 110.54 or so. So my recommendation on dollar yen was to be selling only, but to wait for a little bit more of a pullback. What's really cool about dollar yen, remember we had that dollar yen short divergence trade? That was basically picking the top of the whole thing, which is pretty hard to do, but it worked out. You can take a fib of the whole move, or you could take a fib of just the impulsive move on the way down. But I'd be looking to get short if dollar, now this might not happen, if dollar yen could come back around 112 or even a little shy, 111.90s. It's going to be pretty tough. That's a long ways up, 100 pips. I'd feel okay about shorting there. If you want to be a little bit aggressive, but still somewhat patient, you don't want to wait for the dollar yen to get around 111.30s, 111.35. Let's put a little text on here, shall we? Let's see. Yeah, you can see that. That's good. We'll call this aggressive sell. And we'll call this one obvious here. We'll call it obvious. Conservative sell. And I like it because we're going to be selling just before the fib levels. So you get the idea, within a few pips here. So be looking for something like this. And then a fresh tank job down here. Or something like this to come up here. And then look to get short on the way back down. One of those two. If you want to sell it now, go ahead. But I think that we might have a little bit of a pullback. And this is a pretty, big old move, right? We're talking, this is there's a lot of pips here because of the moves we had today. Yo-Yo up 6% today across all 3 sessions, over the moon. Nice work, Yo-Yo. Congratulations, man. Very nice. 6%'s awesome for a day. Awesome. I'm just going to pull this over here. Fit that in there a little better. There we go. Nice job. Potter's hammering the Aussie. Hilly said short Euro Aussie. Nice. If I had to pick one after that news, again, I'm not a big New Zealand trader, but I'd probably be buying the Aussie dollar or the Aussie New Zealand because you still got that Euro strength that's there. Plenty of pips to be had here buying the Australian. Thing has been smashed for a while. Borderline gambling was adding to winners when I should have been leveraging properly. Yeah, and we talk about that. That's a big piece of trading psychology, isn't it, Yo-Yo? You brought up a really good point, and there's nothing I like better than when people are just honest and put it out there. You could have just said, hey, I made 6%. Everybody says, hey, good job. But you said, hey, it was sort of, I probably wasn't adding more than I should have. But that's the thing. You have to be cautious. Don't reward yourself too much if you're trading improperly. So congratulations on making the money. And now go back to the job at hand and take your time and don't rush it. But good work. Good work, man. Very good. Pound Swiss. Again, I don't trade Swiss pairs ever. But just because you asked so nicely, let's take a look at it. Where am I? Pound Aussie, pound CAD. Pound Swiss. Pound Swiss. We used to call this one the Beast, because the thing can crank pips like there's no tomorrow. Pound Swiss. I haven't looked at this chart for, I would say, years. I don't follow the Swiss franc at all. Just sort of eyeballing it up here. First thing that I see is this area right here. Now this is the daily time frame, so this is 30 pips, but we're coming up to this pretty strong area on the pound Swiss of support around 1.2658. If we cut it in just a little bit more to the 4 hour, you can see we also have another area right here. So we're bouncing off of this gray line. If I were to take a trade on the pound Swiss right now, I'd be buying it. I'd be looking to get long right here. Oops, not short. Looking to get long right here. All right. And I'd put my stops down beneath this gray box, somewhere in that area. I'd put my targets up a ways. We'd have to decide how far up you want to go on the targets. But this would be the stop down here. We'd have a stop of about 45, 50 pips. We'd want to have at least a 1-to-1. You could even just put your targets right up on the top of this wick if you wanted to be conservative. Be looking for 80 pips up. So that's just flat out technicals, knowing nothing about the fundamentals here with the Swiss currency. Things drop 380, 400 pips. Nice. That's right. It's hard to get discipline. You got it. Aussie buck, we covered that one. Got to be buying it. Aussie news was awesome. Cool. So I'm standing my ground on my silver trade for a while. I think it's time for the euro dollar to take a little dip. I'll be looking to get short dollar yen again, but waiting to get back to these areas in the bottom. 111.33 to sell, or 111.89 or so, give or take a few pips to sell, either aggressive or conservative. If you take the aggressive sell entry, you just got to have your stops up a ways. I mean, that's a big move to the downside. Crude is coming under a little bit of pressure. We have a very rough and crude descending trend line here, sitting at 48.90. I think we're going to have a little breather out of the dollar here in the short term. Cool. You want to re-enter silver? Yeah, might not be a bad time to do that. Might not be a bad time. I know I re-entered on my own account. On this move down, I re-entered. I think I put another 3 lots on it. But on LMFX, 3 lots is like a 0.3 lot with this broker. So you have to figure out how your value is. I think it's 1 lot is 5,000 ounces of silver, if I remember correctly. Cool. Good price to enter, 16.85. Good. I think so. I think 16.85 is a good price. Now, are we due for a pullback? I feel pretty good about this 1676 wick here. I think we're going to continue to push up from that area. So we have to keep an eye on it. I mean, we're not getting a lot of bang for our buck on silver right now. It rose, it collapsed, it rose, it collapsed, it came back. We did not put in higher highs here. We have a descending trend line. This is what I'm looking for. I mean, when I'm trading this on my own, I would like to see this line be broken to the upside. This line, as it descends itself down, becomes obviously lower and lower. 1694, 1695. If we can break up above that, then I think we're going to hopefully get through the 38.2 fib to my target up around 1714. Cool. You got it. No problem, FX Road. Can't leave silver alone. Silver's been great, yeah. Thanks, Supernuma. You got it. All right, everybody. I'm going to sign off for now. You know where I'm at with things. I like Aussie strength after the news here, at least for the next few hours. I like long and silver still. I think the euro dollar might be due to pull back down to 1.1125, maybe 35 pips, and then I would hit it long again, looking to get short on the dollar yen if it pulls back a little bit. We have our conservative entries and our aggressive entries to be short. We'll see if anything comes across the wire with Trump. I don't expect a lot of Trump news to come out overnight because it's already 8:45 Eastern time. But we'll see what the morning brings. I'll see you all in the morning at 9 a.m. Central Time. Have a great night. Happy trading.